we have some questions that we've put to around social media. And if you have a child actors account or you are a minor performer and you have a social media account, then there's questions around like, what do I do? What do I not do? What's safety? Do I need to have it? Should I have a website? All those kinds of things. So as a minor performer, you have a digital footprint. And so our goal is for you as parents to have tools so you're not afraid of the digital footprint, but you're not making fear-based decisions. You're making decisions based on what's best for your child, what you can manage and what you feel comfortable with doing. And for every family that may be different and where your child is at in your career. So we are going to have Q&A time at the end. We're going to talk probably about 40 minutes or so, and then we'll happy to answer questions. And so in the chat right now, if you would just tell me, you're welcome to tell me your child's name and age if you want to, but you don't have to. You can also tell me what show you're watching right now. I kind of need to know a new show. I realize I only watch my husband's shows with him, and then when he leaves town, I don't watch TV. You guys, I have complete control of the remote. Like, what am I even thinking? Right. So anyway, if you have a show that you love right now, or it doesn't have to be a new show. I don't, I may have finished The Pit, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. But if you have a show that you love and you can recommend it, put that in the chat or maybe where you're hailing from today. All right, let me introduce you to these fabulous women who have joined us today. I'm going to introduce you to in order of how I've known them. So I've met Nicole Dora, who is our casting director. I met her years ago when she worked for Nickelodeon and cast my daughter in a show. And then we got to be in the same building. And so I don't know, I've just always loved her. You could hear her coming down the hall, saying hi to everybody. And she's a delight. So she is a mom herself. And so she speaks not only with the authority of a casting director, but also with the mind of a mom who is like, how would I want my child perceived and all those kinds of things. So Nicole, did you want to say anything?
Oh, hi guys. Thank you for coming. Yeah, as Melissa said, I'm a casting director, but I'm also a mom. So I'm and I've got an 11-year-old. My daughter's 11. So I'm very involved in her social media and I look at what she's looking at, and she's not allowed to have certain things just because like certain websites or whatever on her phone
Yeah.
because I don't approve of them at this age, but that's just a me
Yeah.
thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, if you have any questions or want to know like that kind of stuff from my perspective on things from casting or, being the mom of a preteen, I'm here for you guys. So,
That is great. I love that we caught you in this exact moment in your parenting and career journey, Nicole. That's great. And then let me introduce you to Ellen. Ellen, and she just she told me how to say her last name because I've just said it in my head. But it's Sal Kelly. So Ellen Sal Kelly. She runs and owns Stage Door Design. So she does websites and she handles digital footprints for kids in different places. And I met her through my dear friend who said you have to meet Ellen. She knows all this stuff and she's super helpful. And that has turned out to be 100% true. I've enjoyed getting to know Ellen for a couple of months. Well, I guess more than that now, I guess almost a half a year or so. Well, yeah. So Ellen, if you want
Fine.
to say anything about what you do and
Yeah,
so parents have
sure.
a,
So I started kind of in the same place where all you guys did when my 11-year-old came to me and said, Mom, I want to do a show. He's 27
yeah.
now. And so we did that. We auditioned and booked and didn't book and all that jazz. And I actually left a job in marketing, digital marketing and social media with a bank to tote my kid
Oh,
around on tour
yeah.
with his tap shoes and such. And once I knew he was spinning, I started Stage Door Designs to help other parents navigate this fantastic journey that we are all on,
Mhm.
and all of the various things and accoutrements that you need to have to go along with it.
Yeah, I love that.
16
So
years later, I'm still at it.
you're
He's
still
doing
at it.
something else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's okay.
I do feel like, and I love that you said that. First of all, let's normalize kids enjoying acting when they're little and then deciding that's not for them. Totally, totally, it's not a loss. It is not a loss if they choose not to pursue acting. And then, yeah, I love the fact that Ellen, you developed your company in particular response to help parents with something that you had a handle on, and they're like, oh my gosh, what do I do? What do all the
Yeah.
things. Okay, great. So we're going to jump in real quick. I have a series of questions, and we had another panelist who was not able to be here with us live today. Her name is Paula, and she manages her daughter Sophie's social media account. Ellen, how do you say her last name? Is it
Uh, Nas-
Nasanalis?
Nasanalis.
Nesanalis. So if you want to look on Instagram, Sophia Nesanalis, Nesanelis, you'll see what a terrific job her mom is doing with her account. And so, but she did respond to some questions. She very generously was like, "I'll answer the questions so to give the parent perspective." So I'm sorry, I'm very
She's
grateful for
great.
that. Yeah, she's fantastic. So anyway, so we're getting right to the questions, and please just put them in the chat. We'll have plenty of time for questions today. Okay, so the first thing we're going to talk about safety and mindset questions. We're going to talk about the practical day-to-day management of an account, like if you're doing Instagram, what casting actually looks for, websites, IMDb, Instagram, social media, those kinds of things. Yeah, branding, discoverability, and then state safety specifics around like online predators or bullying, and policy specifically to that, and mental health and social pressure for kids. We know that it's not necessarily the best space for kids. And as Nicole has talked about how she helps monitor where her daughter is going and seeing. And then legal, ethical, and boundary questions. And then at the end, we'll have a question around crisis and escalation. So something goes sideways, what can you do? What should you do? Okay, great. So I'm going to jump in. And first question is you guys both can answer. We are talking about what are the most important safety rules every parent should put in place before creating any public profile for their child. So when you're thinking about a public profile for a kid, what are your guys' thoughts?
You want to start, Nicole?
No, you can go, Ellen, I think.
Okay. So I I always say to the parents that I work with, whether you are managing their homework, their dinner, they're making their bed or their laundry, you're protecting them. And it is your job in this realm to protect them as well. So just like you wouldn't let a stranger know where your kid goes to school or what your daily schedule is or any other private information that you don't feel comfortable sharing with strangers, don't do it. Don't share their school. Don't share your neighborhood. Don't take pictures of them on the steps on the first day in school with the name of their school and their grade and all that stuff. All that stuff that we love to do, right, as parents, but that's not the good stuff to share on social media. If your kid is working in the business and they're successful or moderately successful and they've got jobs and training and all that good stuff, keep it around that. That's really what you want to do. I also say set up, first and foremost, buy your kid's domain name so you have it, and set up an email address that you use for this aspect of your life so that everything is tied to that and it's not all intertwined with your family stuff.
Oh, that is so smart. I wish I had done that. I really wish I had done that, the email thing specifically. And I was looking at one of the moms who's a mentor, her daughter's a mentor in our mentoring program. She has an email address that is like her daughter's initials, communication. So it's like blah, blah communication at gmail.com. So everything can go right to that. And that's a great, where are you 20
And
years
if you
ago?
want to make a little investment to buy, SusieSmith.com, which is not a tremendous expense, then you have it. You can also set up an email to go along with it. So you can have like info@SusieSmith.com and then everything sits there. I mean, listen, this is a business, right? So if you were starting a business, you'd buy a domain name, you'd set up an email address. It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah, that's great advice. Nicole, anything to add to that?
There's like ways that you can limit. I mean, this is like pertaining to the kids, so it's different. But for me, I limit like the amount of like the age groups or, like they have like Instagram for teens or something that has like blocks and things that you like, even people can get through that way. But I do like, the teen things, or if she had like, she wanted a YouTube account when she was little, but it was just like only for family and friends. And it wasn't like posted public. It was private and we could share it with whatever. And my daughter thought she was like a YouTube star when she was like 3 or 4. And it was just like her playing with her dolls and making up stories. And she called it Coco's World. But that was like a private thing between family members that you just kind of share like privately or like just to me kind of a thing. So I guess those are like kind of safety protocols that I would do. But I love what Ellen had to say, especially about like
Yeah.
how you can have an email that is connected to your kid's social media and then you get filtered all the stuff in
Yeah.
Yeah.
there.
I mean, there's no reason really for them to have to see it,
Yeah,
you
no.
know, and I think Paula will probably tell you that. Paula's a client of
Yeah.
ours as well. You know,
Yeah.
her account, it's all over it. It says parent managed. And that's also important. If you choose to do this, and again, you are a business. So I wouldn't even set up a personal Instagram account. I would go with the creator account so that
Yeah.
it is seen like a business and it behaves like a business. And then if you brand it parent managed, and don't put a lot of personal information in there again, then you're in a much better situation.
Yeah, that's great advice. And one thing I did want to it slipped my mind. I'll wonder back, hopefully. Okay, but Paula did answer, and she said early on, I decided I would never post anything that gave away Sophie's home location. So to anyone in the industry, we are based in New York City, but we actually don't even live anywhere near there. I do not post things that give away the name of our town, her school, etc. I also don't post photos with our house in the background, which is something we did too. Oh, when you're taking pictures outside the front of your house, sometimes you don't realize your address is in the background, and so people can track your kids that way. It's kind of surprising that they can do that. Okay, great. So I'm going to move on to the next question. This was my question. Nicole, I had a question for you. What for you, from a casting perspective, what online behaviors or content is an immediate red flag for you to make you be looking at a performer and be like, oh, that's not for me. I'm not interested in that kid. Anything?
It depends. Well, for kids, yes. Well, obviously nudity or like overly
Mhm.
sexualized content is a huge red flag. And people have, kind of lost jobs or parents aren't paying attention, and then I won't even catch it, but I'll like put out a thing and then somebody will send in a tape and we're like, "Oh my God, I love it." And then I've got like studio heads and they've got assistants that are scrolling in the internet and see like, "Oh, she was in a very skimpy bikini." Like skimpy bikini is like a lot of skin showing kind of a thing. Like I'm a little ingenue, I'm wearing, this and that, or I'm half nude kind of a thing. Like those are, red flags, especially for children's television, because
Mm.
that's not what they're trying to put out there. It's supposed to be like kid friendly and kid fun. And then the other thing is like bullying, a lot of like mean
Mm.
spirited pranks. Like there's good pranks where you're like, oh, ah, pie in the face, everybody's enjoying it. But if it's constantly like making fun of people or like putting up, names, like it could be inside jokes and things like that. But there's a lot of like weird online bullying or like weird, names that people have privately for others and they're posting them up there and making fun of people, like, is also a bad thing, because we want people that are inclusive, not exclusive, and that also like are joyous and want to reach out to their fans and have fans that, you know, they feel like connected to, and not like,
Yeah.
oh, they're just my fans here, but this is who I am
Mm.
personally on another level, kind of a thing.
That's a really great point.
Can I add something?
Yeah, I do.
I remember Jake booked his very first job. We were in New York, and it was the world premiere of A Christmas Story, the musical. And it was the first time I was ever going to be on a stage. I was very green. I had no idea what I was doing, or maybe I did. I don't know. I thought I had no idea. And then all of a sudden, the casting director came out. We had been out there for the better part of the day. Punchline, he booked it. But she came out, she sat with us, and she started talking to the parents. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. She's so sweet, to talk to us. We've been here all day. And when all was said and done, one of the parents who was more experienced than me came to me and she said, you understand you just auditioned, right?
Yeah.
And I said, what do you mean? She's like, because if your kid books this job, they're going to put you on a plane. You're going to go to Kansas City for 4 months, virtually live with these people, right? You become a little family. She said, and you think they want you if you are not easy to be with and work with? She's like, you just auditioned.
That's such a good point.
And anyway, he booked it. And I was like, oh, I never thought of it like that. But I feel like social media is kind of the same thing, right? What you're posting is going to give a really good idea of like who you are, how easy you may be to work with. If it looks like chaos, I'm thinking somebody like Nicole is going to be like, I don't have time for that. We have a job to do, a show to put on, a production to get ready. We don't have time for drama.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. And I think even if you have a private account, so I'm thinking like, yeah, absolutely consider your kids' acting account as their professional account, go the creator route when you're setting up on Instagram. But even if you or they have a private account,
Mhm.
stuff gets screenshot all the time. So do not assume that anything you put out into the universe, even on a private account, is not going to be shared in some capacity. So we just had a firm family rule that we would not say anything, repost anything. We just wouldn't do anything that we would not do in person. Like we would like the we and that we for us we just had a rule that was like we didn't want to have anything that kept people from us. Like we like in terms of like we wanted to say something that's like, oh, we only like this kind of person or this group of people or this country. Like there was just something that we decided we wanted to be welcoming. And so we had things we would not say and things, even if we really strongly believed something, we thought this might alienate. So that was just our
Yeah.
personal take, is that we just chose not to alienate groups.
I feel like, yeah, it's best to always be neutral on things, like not
Yeah,
be too heavily, even if you feel that way personally or
yeah,
you're
yeah,
feeling, it's
yeah,
best to be neutral when you're putting that out there for everyone to see so that you can,
yeah,
because they pull back now. Like people, you've got online trolls and they'll go like
yeah,
from eons ago and you post one thing that's bad and they're like, well, you
yeah.
said this in 1997 and you're like, I'm the parent who said that, but my child has nothing to
Yeah,
do with this. But they're like, still, you must be this person, and you're that kind of thing. So
Yeah.
it's never
good
ending.
point. Yeah. Yeah. So just be mindful, be very, very mindful, and nothing ever goes away on the internet. So, and people don't believe in growth and change much either. So once you've been like tagged as problematic or whatever, like it's real hard to rebuild your reputation, I would say. Okay, let me shift a little bit to practical account stuff. Is there anything for you, Emily, if a parent can only do one thing well on social media or on a website, what should that one thing be and why in terms of account setup or day-to-day management?
So I think if you can only do one thing, I would tell you to set up a website or a landing page, and I would have
Mm,
it be very simple. If you can do one and a half things, you could set up an Instagram too. But website with a great headshot or two, a smile, show some teeth or lack thereof, whatever it happens to be. Get a nice, clean resume on there that's easy for somebody in casting to read. Make sure it's a PDF so that they can download it and all the columns line up pretty. Make sure it's true and real, doesn't exaggerate
yes.
anything that you've done, and that it's on one page, and make it a good point size so that people who need glasses to read things can.
Yeah, they don't hate you for going to the eight
Exactly.
point font.
If you've got a little video, a little, if you're a singer or a dancer or an actor and you have a little short reel, couple minutes tops that kind of show you moving, get it on there. Maybe a couple pictures and a way to contact you, your representation if you're represented, and social media if you're using it.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay,
but
that's good to know.
truthfully, in my opinion, less is more,
Mhm.
right? There was a time
Mm,
when parents would chronicle their child's entire experience, from backstage photos to the day they got there to the day they left. Um, no one has time for that.
mm.
Maybe your grandmother or your aunt and wherever, but make it easy for somebody like Nicole, or if you're seeking representation, somebody to really very easily go, whoop, get a sense as to who you are, understand that they want to pick up the phone or send the email and call you and get you in the room.
Everybody wants to discover that undiscovered person. So, like she said, less is more, 100%. Like, we
Oh,
don't need to
that's
know that
great.
they were Scotty in the Charlie Brown play in their middle school, that kind of stuff. Like, it's just like, have you had on-screen experience? No, or that kind of stuff. And also, like, when you post demo reels and things like that, like, I don't need to see the self tapes that you've done. Like that's just not
Okay.
like because doesn't pertain to me. Like, did you book the job? Do you actually have footage? That's the kind of stuff I look for. Not did you put up a self tape that you thought was really good, but it
So
didn't
even
go anywhere.
so even if it's a self-tape that's a good one, like that they got coached on or something, and they don't have other material, you prefer to see nothing versus self-tape for real
I
stuff. You
mean,
know what I'm
there's
saying?
like there are things on like break or Actors Access or breakdown services that it's like they're because sometimes I just want to know the tone of their voice.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
So it'll be like they have like a slate. And so I'll like look at the slate and be like, okay, I could see this person. Like I didn't see it in the picture. It looked a little flat, but I get to see like a little bit of personality in their slate moment.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's
really
an
good to know.
excellent point on Actors Access, is to make sure the headshots look like you today, right? Make sure you, especially with a little person who's
Mhm.
growing and changing, so making sure that they're very much up to date, that if you've got a size card information in there, that that's up to date. And that slate shot is a great way to bring a picture to life, you know?
Yeah, that's great.
I'm totally with you, Nicole, on the self tapes. I mean, especially because sometimes there's an NDA on something like that, and you shouldn't be putting it out there. You know, there
Yeah.
are some companies out there that you can actually go in, and it's an investment, and they'll write a scene for you, and they'll shoot a scene for you, and the production value is outstanding. I've seen some of those that look really great. You
Right.
know, if you have nothing else, right? If
And I
you
would say, yeah, if you have nothing else, and I wonder from a casting perspective, is it better to do something like that? Because it depends on what stage of the career your kid is at, honestly. And
Mhm.
is it good to go ahead and get something like that done? Like Nicole, would you prefer to see something like that you're like, oh, this was a production, or like a medium quality student film?
I can
It's like,
medium quality student film because
oh,
I can see that it's a production, and then I'm like,
okay.
oh. Like there is a lot like that I've seen where it's like the same wall and the same backdrop. And I'm
Oh,
like, this
yeah,
obviously was done by somebody somewhere.
a
Also, it's
company.
very
Yeah,
expensive. And I don't think when you're first starting out with your children that you want to spend so much money because they're constantly changing. You're going to need new headshots if they get braces, if the braces are taken off, if their nose grows, if their hair changes. Kids grow
yeah,
and they shrink and they widen and they get skinny and they're tall and all this stuff. And
yeah,
there's I would prefer, I want parents to save their money and if their kid really wants to do it, like be able to allow their kid to do it and not like feel like they need to overdo it because their kid's going to
right.
book the job that way because that's not what I personally look for.
Yeah,
I look at the headshot, the resume, then I select them to bring them in to tape all the other stuff. So then I get who they are based on their self tape. And then if I, then blah blah blah, I bring them in like via Zoom or in person. Not so much anymore, but via Zoom, and I will work with these people and talk to them and like get to know them and see if they can adjust things like that. So I feel like don't spend gobs of money initially when you're trying
agreed.
to get your kid into the business because
yeah.
they could love it for 2 seconds and then hate it and then you've already invested $1,000 and then you feel like, oh my God,
Yeah,
Yeah.
why did
Yeah.
I
The
do
more
yeah.
you invest, the more pressure there is
You
on the
know, and
kid
if they
to do
get that
things.
student film, if you're near a local university that's doing that, they're often looking for kids. Just make sure, like right up front, you find out who the person is to connect with, so that you can get a little bit of copy afterwards.
Yeah.
Because if you
Yeah.
think 3 months later that you're going to get it, not going to happen.
You
They've
won't.
moved on to the
I'm
next thing.
I'm just going to tell you from personal experience, finding who the department assistant or administrator is, like a secretary, that they always know. Get their phone number, and then like, hi, I'm chasing down your art student, your film student. Okay, I want to segue a little bit. Paula I'd asked her the question, how do you handle in terms of day-to-day management? Handle comments, DMs, and follow requests, and what rules or workflows do you use? And she said, I new followers and comments I address in other questions, but as for DMs go, I immediately make it clear that they are speaking with Sophie's mom, that they will never speak to Sophie. I also make it clear that I don't speak for her and I'm not going to relay any messages. We get a lot of DMs from parents that have questions about starting off in the industry or specific things related to auditions or callbacks. I'm happy to answer those, but I don't speak about Sophie to people I don't know personally in DMs. So I think that's a great safety tip to know that everybody, I know that we encountered that with some fans of my youngest daughter were like DMing her, and I'd be like, "This is Reese's mom," But I wish I'd had that more a firmer boundary of like, "You will never speak to Reese on this account." Like this is not what that's for.
Yeah,
Um,
right. That's their job, right?
yeah,
To
yeah,
screen. And if something feels threatening, if something feels inappropriate, screenshot it just in case,
hmm
and then block it and report it.
yeah. Perfect. We're going to get to more safety stuff here in a minute, but I'm glad you brought that up. All right, I'm going to ask Nicole a question about when you Google or check, and do you Google or check an actor's social media like a kid actor? Do you look them up on your initial foray, or at what point does that happen in the casting process, if at all, for you?
it's a thing. I mean, I don't necessarily, not me personally, but we have to do it sometimes where they're like, what's the numbers? Like if you're working
Oh,
people
Yeah.
want to know how many followers they have, and it's not so much the followers anymore. It's now like how you engage with your followers kind of a thing. Like, do you respond to them? Is it you? Is it a bot? Is it like whatever? Are your followers engaging with you? Because that's more so what the big studios are looking for, is how your kids engage with their followers, or like, are they legitimately themselves, or is it
Oh,
somebody else, chiming in and saying like, thanks so much, have a great day, or, just generic and bored. Because there's like
oh,
algorithms and things that it's not in my pay grade and not what I do. But we'll be like, they've got 4.5 million on Instagram. And then they're like, yeah, but they're not in like in working with their followers. They're only, this
right.
is all like bot, or they're bot followers as
Yeah,
well.
don't do
Yeah,
that.
that's big.
Yeah, so we
Don't
look
do
at
that.
like, how you handle yourself. Are you engaged with your fans or with your people, or when you're putting up content, are you legitimately um enjoying yourself?
Mm,
Does it seem like it's a chore, or your child is angry, or are they really liking it? Is it like, something that they legitimately like to talk about, or they like to do a little dance, or um they're at the mall, or you know what I mean, like, how are they
yeah.
joyous online, or is it more like, oh my God, I have to do this because my mom said I need to make content because we need a new purse or a new minivan, kind of a
Oh,
thing, and you can kind of
gosh.
see it when it's a chore.
Interesting. Yeah.
Like,
And do you prefer to see more like day-to-day stuff, like a kid who's just like talking about their day at school, like just like very casual, like it's not scripted, it's not, or more polished? Because do you want to see a real person,
yeah,
or do you want to see what the kid's capable of in a
I don't
more,
like it when it's fake, and yeah,
okay.
I like you said, I would like to see a real person. Like if they're like, hey everybody, whatever, today I went to school and I ate something gross, and kind of whatever thing, like a day in the life of the kid.
Yeah.
um I don't necessarily, I mean, like I said, I have an 11-year-old and she's always like, "Bleh," like scrolling. And then she's like, I like this family. Like there's a family and they have like a toddler and a 6-month-old. And she's like,
Mm.
this family is really cute. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Cause I don't, yeah. But,
Okay.
but yeah, I prefer to see real and not like scripted things where it's like way overjoyous and very much like plastic and very fake and very come into my world, with a weird voice and weird
Oh, yeah,
mannerisms and
yeah.
things that aren't like natural or real to the child.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to
I
know.
mean, it's interesting that you say that because I can't even tell you how many people are out there saying, well, I'm going to hire somebody to follow my child around and shoot social media. And I'm not saying that that's not done, because it is, but
Mm.
you're right. You don't need to spend a ton of time doing this, and there's like kind of I like to follow like a little bit of a 40-40-20 rule, like 40% about what you're doing, right? You're taking a class, or you're on set and you're allowed to shoot stuff and share it. Be sure you're allowed to do something before you do it. And then a little bit, about like you were saying, I went for pizza with my friends last night, or I'm so happy it's summer because I can have my favorite ice cream at wherever. And then I think the engagement, as you said, Nicole, is important, right? So especially if they're in a job and they're collaborating with another actor on set, that kind of stuff is fun and will help the
Mm.
algorithm as well. And engaging with people is a great thing to do. So you don't want
Hmm.
to just have followers; you want to follow some people too. Um,
Hmm.
you want to make sure that you are following. You want to try to make sure that you're following less people than are following you, right? So that
Right.
you're
So
not
the
following
ratio,
10,000
yeah,
people and 7 people are following you. You want to
right.
kind of try to keep that balance.
Right. Yeah. Don't do the follow and unfollow thing. That's a red flag for social media. So follow accounts you're genuinely interested in or align with the purpose. So if you've got a charity, you love, follow those accounts. If you love animals, follow animal accounts. If you are following other actors, other stages, whatever that is, do that. But do not follow a bunch of people to get them to follow you, because that will definitely, you don't want to start your you don't want to start your social media presence falsely. You want to be a genuine person. It will grow naturally, to not worry about that. Okay, let me ask a question I'm going to shift a little bit to, let me ask you a question. So Ellen, you said if you had one choice between like website or social media, but what about like IMDb or anything like that? I know you have
Yeah,
plans
I'm
with
glad you
that.
mentioned that. So if you have a credit that is on IMDb, and it's an actual credited credit as opposed to like uncredited, then you're going to have a profile. And the minute that happens, your profile is going to show up with no face, right? And it's just going to have the credits underneath. So if you have a credit out there, I would highly recommend claiming your page with that same email account that you use, that you're going to use for everything, right? So that when your kid's 18 and they say, I want to take control of my IMDb page, you don't have to give them your email address to manage or try to separate it all. Not fun at all. So definitely claim the page. And if you were going to make an investment, if that's where your credits are sitting, film, television, streaming, etc., they're going to show up on IMDb. I would make that investment in an IMDb Pro account, so that you can add pictures to that. You can add video to that if you have reels. You can make sure that everything you've done is really on there and on there correctly. And there are ways to manipulate it if it is not on there correctly. So I do think an IMDb is very worth having if you have credits on there, for sure.
Okay, great. So let me then bounce it back to Nicole. Nicole, do you look up kids on IMDb?
Mm-hmm. Yep,
okay.
I do.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's because sometimes like Breakdown doesn't have certain things or whatever.
Can't track them.
Sometimes they have a new agent or whatever kind of a thing, and IMDb has more modern and current information than Breakdown would, and vice versa. So I look at all of those things to see to see what is the most current on both of those pages.
Okay, I have a question for people that are watching. I want to make sure we have enough time for questions for you guys. I have two sections we haven't covered yet. One is mental health and social pressure, and one is safety specifics and how to handle online predators. So can you just put in the chat right now if you're more interested in not saying this is the only thing you're interested in, but if you could only have some questions answered today, would it be around mental health and social or safety? So social or safety. Let me know what's happening in the chat.
While you're doing that, Natalie Hernandez had a question about which
oh, I saw that.
Which resume to post. I think you should have, it depends on, is it commercial or is it television or that kind of a thing?
Theatrical,
so if they've done more commercials, then obviously it would say list available upon request, but it's like who their agent is, who their manager is, should all kind of be on the same resume. But it'll also be like on Breakdown or IMDb has like options like you are managed by this person and you're with this agent and that kind of stuff.
Okay, good. Yeah, that's really helpful.
Yeah, and look at that every once in a while and make sure it's correct. Yes. Right? Because it's not a perfect system. So if something seems wrong, then get in there and fix it. And if you don't know how to get in there and fix it, give me a call. I'll help you.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was going to say, Maddie, I'm going to ask you to drop the link in for the membership. I'm just going to do a small plug. We are a nonprofit, Mind and Performer Alliance. Our mission is to support the health, safety, and education of children in the entertainment industry. And part of how we fund ourselves is through memberships. And one of the benefits of a membership is that you get recordings of our webinars. So if you miss one, you could get a recording of it. And that's for members only. And then we have business partnerships with people like Ellen, who she gives a discount and she does a free resume review for new members at MPA. So if that's something you're interested in, if you need help with work permits, all those kinds of things, that is available. We would love to help you. You're welcome to email us and, whatever, if you have questions, always, but if you want to have some a little more concierge service for stuff and get discounts, to look on our website. There's a bunch of discounts for business partners and it's growing all the time. So small plug for that there. And then let me pop over to so it looks like safety one, but mental health people, just ask your question in the Q&A and I'll read you what Paula wrote about that. So safety specifics, have you ever encountered safety concerns tied to a performer's online presence during casting or on set? So like because there were high numbers or something and they talked about an audition or something and now you've got a situation?
Yes.
Oh,
I mean, well, because it's a case in point kind of a thing. When Melissa's daughter was hired to be on Nickelodeon, none of the kids, and all the kids, it was like 7 of them, did not have social media. And Nickelodeon was like, you guys need to start social media. Granted, the parents will be a part of it. and man these sites and do the things, but it's under your name, and they're going to post like media on you guys and that kind of stuff. Well, there was like a Predator actor who was trying to get in touch with the majority of the kids, and then only got in like kind of like in touch with one because the parent was a little bit starstruck and like, oh, all these fun things and whatnot. And so she kind of like let this person into her son's world. And and I had said, you can't like, she, you know, was telling me stories and things like that. And I said, well, you can't, nobody rides for free. And I'm here to tell you, like, he's saying things like, you know, taking him on shopping sprees and doing like whatever things, and that's not acceptable. And she was, you know, adamant that she what was handling it and all that other fun stuff. And then I don't think anything ever happened, but I did like put that bug in her ear, like, you know, watch out. This is not kosher.
Yeah.
This is not acceptable.
Yeah.
This is weird. You've got to nip it in the bud and stop this. And then it turns out like later on, this person was like on a TV or something, or got in trouble or that kind of stuff. And luckily, like the kid
Yeah.
was not really that put in harm's way, but I was like, you can't fall
Yeah.
for I'm sorry's, or I really like your kid on set and I know what it's like to be an actor myself, and la 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 and all that other fun stuff. Like, don't fall into those
Yeah.
trappings, because nobody, if it seems too good to be true, it always is. So
Isn't
always
that
be
what your mother
mindful
told
of
you?
that and be
Yes.
protective of
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
even though your kid may be like, well, this sucks and you're a horrible parent and I can't believe you and blah, 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 blah. You've
Yes,
got
I
them.
am.
You've got to protect them with all of your
Yes.
Yeah.
soul and your
Everything.
being and everything.
Yeah.
Like, this is,
Yeah.
you know,
I
that kind
had
of stuff.
a
Yeah.
client a long time ago. He was one of the original Billies and Billy Elliot on Broadway. And I was working with his mother to build a website for him to, because these kids had a ton of fans, right? Stage door every night, so on and so forth. And when we went to go buy this young man's domain name, somebody had it already, which is, you know, if you have a relatively common name, that's possible that somebody else has it. And then we figure out something else. But then we did a little more digging and we found out it was some guy in Amsterdam who was a Billy Elliot super fan, who not only bought the boy's name, but put up a whole website about him. And, you know, these were like, I don't know, 12-year-old boys or something. You know, it felt very, very creepy. Turned out to be really nothing more than a super fan. Thank God we were able to get the domain name back and so on and so forth. You know, we helped with that, you know, but it was like a very weird feeling. And the other thing that I've seen happen is people purporting to be someone else, right? Like this guy was truly, it was a fan site. And it was very clear that it was a fan site, but somebody putting up a page and purporting to be Nicole Doro, and they are not.
Yeah.
And now they're putting stuff out there. So I always say to any family I work with, put a Google alert on your kid's name if you're in this
Yes.
business, and
Smart.
get those messages and see what's out there. Things will float to the top. So you can keep an eye on
Also,
the
if
good
they reach
100%.
out, like,
and the
I've
not so
had to
good.
do this for, because I worked with a YouTuber and he was doing like a across the world search for like K-pop kind of stars and stuff like that. So I was doing a deep dive and like hitting, you know, hitting people up in their DMs like, hey, I watched your video. I think you're great. This is my name, blah, 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 blah. And then they were like, how do I know? Then I would send them like their email address that I had for the company. And then they would email me that way and be like, this person's like emailed me. Is this legit? And I said, yes, it's me, blah, 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 blah. And then I would send them my IMDb and I'm like, this is me as well. Like, here's my IMDb. Here's all my credits. This is who I am. I am not hitting you up for like harmless reasons. I just thought your video was great and I wanted to talk to you more and have you tape for sides and send me a little bit more. Like, can you sing? I noticed that you're a great dancer, but can you sing? Those kind of things. Like, if they ask, you know, if casting you ever get like something from a legitimate, it seems like a legitimate casting company, and they're like, oh, by the way, we need you to pay $10 to audition for us. No, that's a no. That's not legitimate. If casting ever asks you to pay for anything, that's an absolute no. That's a bad thing. Obviously, we're never going to ask for naked photos or anything like disgusting like that. We would never do that ever. Anything that feels weird and to your gut is like, ooh, I don't think so. Like, never, ever, ever go to like follow through or go down the rabbit hole or be like, well, I could be just a little crazy, or maybe I'm just like emotional today, and oh, what's the harm kind of a thing. Never, ever, ever do that. No social security numbers, no,
Phone
if you book a
numbers.
role, your agent or your manager or your lawyer or whoever will say, hey, I sent their information over because it's a legit, whatever, we've worked with casting, all that stuff. Like, have it go
Yeah.
through your team, not through you personally. Never give out personal information, phone numbers,
Yeah.
locations, all the stuff.
I
You've
mean,
got to be,
this
yeah.
seems like all the things we know as parents, but something happens when you think there's an opportunity for your child. Quite honestly, like our brains fall out. I can speak for myself. My brain fell out a little bit, and so if I'd see somebody, I'm like, oh my gosh, I would Google them. I'm like, oh, this is the blah blah. Okay, so I'm just gonna tell you, in your child's bio, it should be for inquiries sent to their management company or to the email address you've sent up for them that is not, their personal email. So I would be just very mindful of knowing that not everybody has good intentions. And yes, someone legitimate can absolutely enter in the DM, say, hey, I'm a casting director. I saw this. What's the best way to get in touch with you? Or like, who's their manager? Like that, they will ask. And if you have IMDb for someone who's a legitimate professional in the industry, they will absolutely have all of the information in your IMDb Pro. And so you can say you can check them out on IMDb as well.
Yeah, and I
So
do that too. Like if I was like when I was looking online and I was going on Instagram and checking out people's followings and things like that,
yeah.
then I would like go to IMDb or Breakdown to see if they had a team somewhere, and if they were just a random person on Instagram doing a dance number, and I was like, that's really cool. Like there was a kid in Italy and I was like, I'm legit. Like I watched your song, you sent in a tape, you sing beautifully. I would like to talk to you more about like putting you on tape and like working with you and doing these like, doing those kind of things. Here is my information that you can get a hold of me and find out that I am legitimately this person and not some creepy person online. And like,
Yeah.
Brad
Yeah.
Pitt is not going to reach out to your child and be like, oh my God, I think you're amazing. Brad
No.
Pitt, if he really cared, would be like, okay, I'm going to have my agent call their agent or reach out to the parent and say, hey, my client Brad saw your stuff on TV, like on whatever, and thought your kid was great, and we wanted to learn more information, kind of a thing. Like if it's legit,
Yeah.
Yeah.
then they'll go through the proper channels and have like
Exactly.
all the stuff.
Exactly. Okay, I do want to address one thing. Paula, I asked her the question, if your child is targeted by bullying or a predatory adult, what immediate steps should parents take to protect the child and preserve evidence? And she said, we've only had one instance with that. Weirdly, it was someone who really took issue with the fact that Sophie is not a redhead and she played Annie. So funny, my children never played Annie. That's so weird. All three of them are redheads. Weird. She was messaging and commenting on anything I posted of Sophie during the time of the show's run. So I quickly blocked on all platforms and reported, please understand as a parent, you have the power to block anybody for any reason. Block early and block often. Your child does not owe the public anything,
Mhm.
right?
You
Your
also
child
have the
is,
opportunity as the parent to grab their phone and scroll through it at any time. It is your personal
oh
property
yeah,
until they're 18
yes.
years old. It is your personal property. You can scroll through it and like look at and find like the hidden, because I know that there's crazy things and I'm like, I don't even know how to find hidden things, but I will scroll through my daughter's stuff all the time, see what she's Googling, see
Oh
what she's
yeah,
looking at, see like what, because she likes to Pinterest, like what Pinterest stuff she's sending out, like who she's got
yeah.
on the Pinterest, because I think it's like a way that they can have followers is Pinterest. But so I'm
Yeah.
like,
Be
who's responding
mindful.
to your stuff?
Yeah.
All right,
I
let me
mean, a
ask one
lot
more
of
question. Oh
parents
yeah,
will
go
not
ahead.
even let, and I'm pretty sure Paula is in this camp. Like Sophie may have a phone to call if she gets stuck at school and needs a ride, but her Instagram is not on her phone. It's on her mother's phone
Hmm.
only.
Yeah. Yeah, smart. That's a smart way to do it too. I'm going to ask you one last question, and we'll pop over to questions. If there's anything that's not been answered, you're welcome to just drop it in the chat, unless you just want to raise your hand, and we can talk to you live. But if you have a question, drop it in the chat. So here's the last question. What is a practical, immediate action step parents can take this week to improve safety and make their child's online presence more useful for casting?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ellen? Oh yeah, go no.
I mean, the first thing I would tell you to do is Google your kid's name and see what's out there.
Okay.
That's going to be all telling, right? If they're in things, those things should come up. If there's something out there that's weird, that's going to come up. So
Mhm.
I would do that, and I would do that periodically as well, 6 months, whatever. And then look at what might be wrong and fix it. Right? If you look at your actor's access and you realize that the headshot is 4 years old, fix it. If the bio that's out on whatever doesn't make sense, correct it. If you're on IMDb, claim the page. Listen, there's so much for parents who have jumped into this pool to do. You can't possibly do it all. You can't possibly overhaul everything at once, but you just want to make sure that the first impression that an agent, a manager, a casting director, whoever's going to be looking at your kids' stuff, that the first impression that they get is an accurate impression of them.
Mhm.
That's
You know,
great.
and don't think you can do it all alone. There's people out there who can help you, your representatives. I mean, again,
Yes.
anybody on this call can give me a call. We'll have a cup of coffee together on the phone and I'll answer questions for you. Because it's a lot,
It's a lot. And
wonderful,
you have to
wonderful
revisit it.
journey, but it's a lot. And who the heck is supposed to do all this stuff and somehow get dinner on the
Teamwork
table at
and
night?
because you got to
And
fund
drive
your
them.
kids' dreams, so you got
It's
to do all
right.
the other stuff.
Do all the other things. Okay, Nicole, anything for you? And it's so funny you mentioned IMDb in particular, Ellen, because honestly, my youngest daughter, I was on our IMDb page for some unknown reason, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is the bio I wrote for you when you were 12. You probably want to change that. So we actually have a calendar thing, like the first of every month. It's like review IMDb, review casting sites. Like on the first of the month, everybody's supposed to like do that. I don't think they do it, but we do have it on the calendar. Okay, Nicole, what is your thought about immediate action parents can take this week to improve your child's online presence, make it more useful for casting?
Whatever, all the stuff that Ellen said, I 100% agree on, and it just made me think like, oh, I haven't Googled my daughter in a while. I know she's got an IMDb page. I don't know if I've actually claimed it
Mm,
because I hired her to be in a movie I was doing once, and like, I know that when she started in elementary school, like like a teacher had like they were joking like showing online stuff or whatever, and the teacher had Googled her and he was like, oh, you're in a movie, I see. And she was like, yeah, I did a movie when I was like 3 with my mom or whatever. And I was like, oh, I she's got an on IMDb, and I forgot all about that stuff. So yes, I agree with that.
thanks, Ellen.
I'll tell you a very, very quick, funny story. When I was in high school, I was like an extra in a like a horror film that was being shot by some guys that were in the neighborhood, and it ended up on IMDb, and I had no idea. And forward, I don't know, 40, and I was renting a house for my entire family, my parents, my sisters, the kids, to go to celebrate my parents' wedding anniversary. We're all going to go and spend the week at this beautiful house out at the beach. And I get on the phone with the guy who's going to rent the house, and he goes, "So you're a movie star?" And I said, "No." At the time, I was not even doing this. And I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I found your movie on IMDb." And I was like, "Oh, good God in heaven." So
Nothing goes away on the internet.
nothing goes away. Nothing goes away. And let me tell you, I know how to manipulate IMDb. I tried to get it off. I can't get it off.
Yeah, there's weird things too on IMDb, like some, because people can just chime in and say things, or you get weird credits. And
Yeah,
you're like, I never
yeah,
did that. Like,
yeah. You can tell them to review it, but yeah.
but sometimes it's
I
hard to get it off, or you're like, I'm not related to this crazy person that said that they're related to me. Because sometimes you get like
oh yeah, yeah,
people that are
connections.
like, I'm
Yeah.
related to her, and I'm like, no, you're not. Get off of my IMDb.
Let me ask a question, Nicole. If you are, and we're going to get to the two questions I see in the chat, don't worry. Does a child have to have a digital presence online to be successful?
No, I don't
Does
think
it help
to
them?
start off, no. Yes, it can help.
Okay.
It can help like, but I feel like you need to have a couple of things under your belt. You know what I mean? Like they have to uh be, I guess there's a lot of other things that I would say first and foremost that you need to work on. If they like to sing,
Okay.
dance, and act, then they should be taking the classes, constantly working on their craft, those kind of things. I feel like the presence comes on after they've booked like maybe 3 commercials and 2 of them are nationals, and then they're doing like a guest star or co-star on a show, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, my career is like
Okay.
kind of going like this, then I'll start doing more of a social media presence, I think.
Yeah, that's great. That's very helpful, I think, for parents to not get lost in the weeds of all the things we have to do.
Yeah,
So
but
thank
for a little investment, and this is my own commercial, I would still
website.
get the domain name, and I
Yes,
might even still secure the social media handle.
I would too.
You
I
know,
would too. Just
even
grab the
if you
names.
just leave it private for now,
Mhm.
because if you go to get it, you know, if you have an unusual name like I do, you probably won't have a difficulty
Mhm.
getting your name. But I can't tell
Mhm.
you how many parents come to me and they want their kid's name and it's not available.
Mhm.
So I would grab it. I'd grab it when they're born.
Yeah.
Also
So
set
true.
them up for, I mean, this is a totally thing. Set them up for frequent flyer miles and
Oh
things like
yes,
that
when they're
right
little.
away. So you can start getting all that
To get their
every
miles.
flight.
Yeah. Uh, Too funny. All right, let me jump into the chat. You guys are thank you so much for answering these questions. I'm going to answer one mental health question that Paula addressed for us when we end here, but let me answer the two in the chat. What is a good or legit way to grow followers on social media? And I would say from a perspective, and I'll ask you guys, Ellen, especially like how to grow that. But I would say like creating content that people care about is useful, but it depends if you want to be an influencer, right? Do you want to be an influencer who acts, or do you want to be an actor who has social media? And so if the emphasis is on getting followers, I don't think like, and it's less right now, like how many numbers do they have? Because I think the mental health crunch, and I think if it's a child in particular, I think it comes down to one person to the other. Then yes, if the other person has 2 million followers, they're going to get it. If your kid has 200, I mean, probably. But I would say like trust that being good is really the thing to do. So if you want to be an influencer, that's a different journey. And definitely just look that up. So I'm sure someone will sell you a course to know how to do that. But finding legitimate followers, it's literally slow and steady wins the race. I can recommend a resource, Brock Johnson on Insta Club Hub. He's got some great resources. Your child is a business. And so if you treat their account like a business account where you're, then I think it could be useful. So yeah. Anything else, Ellen, you want to say about that?
Oh, I mean, start where you work. You know, if you're on a set and you're, you know, working on a show, you know, you're follow those people, interact with those people.
Yes. The
You
engagement
know,
is
Know
the
the
key.
crew.
you're right. If someone's got
Yeah.
2 million followers and I have 7 and we're equally talented, guess what? I'm not getting the job.
Yeah.
That's the way it works, right?
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
but slow and
Welcome
steady wins the race. And like we've said a couple of times tonight, you know, if it seems too good to be true, if somebody comes to you and says, you know, I'm going to help you monetize your account, I'm going to help you grow followers or whatever, the chances are that that is not real.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question really quick as we're coming into our last minute here. Nicole, how do you get agents or casting directors really to see your content? I know that for us, we followed them, like the girls' accounts would follow them, so they would interact realistically with that agent. Do you get tagged in things? Like, how do you find kids' accounts?
I probably buy like, you know, if I've auditioned them and then they start following me on Instagram after like I auditioned, that's pretty much how like, you know, most of the because I'm not like I'm gonna look for kids today, and I should be like more proactive like that. But I like to do old fashioned research. I'm old, so my stuff is scrolling through IMDb and being like, what are the top like 8 to 10 year olds or whatever, or going through like breakdown and like kind of looking that way, or what movies and shows have I seen, kind of a thing. And if I'm really like, if I meet with people and they audition with me and I'm like, oh my God, I love this kid, they're gonna be a little superstar, and then they like start following me or I start following them, then I'll follow them back, but I'm not like out there instantly like
Right.
following all the kids. Like they follow me
Okay.
first, or you know, and I've worked with them before and we keep in touch and through social media and that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. So
Yeah, that's
And I mean,
great.
I think somebody asked about agents also.
Yeah.
So just follow-up question, is that like
Yeah.
because you're seeking an agent? Like you're looking to get representation and you're not represented now? Or you're
Yeah.
seeking a manager? Because I think it's okay, you know, to go to their website and see what their submission policies are. You know,
Yeah.
managers will say, like, send me your headshot, your resume, the link to your website, whatever the case may be, because they're, you know, always looking for new and good talent.
Yeah. Don't tag them unless you know them personally. Don't tag them.
Don't tag them unless you know
Don't
them
tag them.
personally.
That's very
That's
bad
for
manners.
sure.
All right, I'm going to read the one last thing on mental health and social pressure. We asked Paula, the mom who runs her daughter's account, how do you talk to your child about likes, followers, and rejection so social metrics don't harm their self-esteem? And then we had a follow-up question. Yeah, so she says Sophie doesn't have any access to her social media, like you're saying, Nicole. Weirdly, or maybe Ellen was weirdly, it was someone who, if she likes a reel she made, she will send it to me and ask if I want to post it, but that's as far as it goes. So if any rude comments were to come in, she wouldn't see them. Luckily, we have never dealt with anything like that. And I would say rejection, and it's such a weird thing to say rejection, but to not be chosen for a role as part of this industry, you will be not chosen way more times. Like you're going to audition 40 times before you book your first commercial. So I would say like we normalized it by being like, this is just, they wanted someone taller. They didn't want a redhead, like whatever it is, it's not personal. And so that's the same thing with social media. We just sort of treated it like they think they know you and they think they like you, but they don't really know you. And we're not sure if they really like you. So it's a distant relationship from a mental health perspective.
And it's real easy for some person to sit in the privacy of their own home and start making rude comments for no reason because
absolutely
they're needing to express themselves in a bad way.
Yeah.
Go on Facebook for 20 minutes and you'll see a grown-up do it all day long.
you can block certain words. So we did block certain words, like on an Instagram account, you can have it block comments that include certain terminology. So anything that was crass, profane, we blocked all of those. And I think that probably helped us too. But you guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you to Nicole and Ellen for being here and for sharing your expertise with us. A reminder that they do pop into our moderated Facebook groups. If you have questions, you're welcome to go to our Facebook group. The link is in the chat right now. And we're going to keep going with this conversation. Our next webinar is actually going to be minor performers, and they're going to talk about their experience of growing up in Hollywood. So we have 3 or 4 minor performers who are going to come in. Former child actors are going to talk about that. So that's coming up May. Oh my gosh, I want to say 11th or 12th. But just subscribe to our newsletter or follow us on Instagram, and there'll be opportunities to join us there. So thank you guys so much. Please keep the questions rolling. It's a long conversation, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks, guys. Good night.
Everybody have a good night.
Bye.